Welcome back to Password. I'm a little mad at this game.
I have no feelings. I am an unopinionated person.
So after begging, this is a recurring thing, but after begging the game for hours to tell us what's going on and have some revelations, we hit Oz, and then Oz proceeded to have the scene where revelations happen and then didn't really tell us anything. That was a while ago now, but then more recently, after begging this place to become a closed thing where people are actually trapped and they understand, and there's like people are like the characters are in any way receptive to the stakes so that the story can start happening. The road blew up and there was a murderer attacking in the woods, so it's like, okay, here we go, it's gonna happen now. And then we proceeded to have one session that was entirely us trapped with Benson and him just, and the game just kind of spinning its wheels. Like there was a couple of character moments that worked and a couple of reveals, and it was kind of going somewhere, but also Benson was refusing to tell us anything. I'm just gonna go eliminate someone. Bye, I'm back. Who was it? I'm not gonna tell you anything. Anyway. And that was like, that was an entire day. Like we record this game for like 3 or 4 or 5 hours a day each time we meet up. So an entire day was just us dealing with Benson almost nonstop. Then the next time was us dealing with Thanatos nonstop. And he also was, Thanatos is better in part because there's a clear characterization thing going on where it's like, okay, Thanatos is doing some kind of weird thing where he's got programming that makes him act against us, but he's trying to help us. So he's trying to help us trick his programming into doing what we need him to do to help and so on, while he has to do other things and whatever. So, but the story mostly still continued to spinning its wheels where like no character became in danger, no action happened, none of the looming threats that we were promised appeared, and then perhaps worst of all, then last time we had yet another extended Thanatos session where for several episodes it's continually like kind of building but not really building, and still nothing has happened. So we're now 3 full sessions post road explosion, and it feels like it never happened.
Yes.
So I'm losing my mind just a little bit. The live episodes have reached the part where Benson reintroduces the scavenger hunt, which at this point I forgot happened. Because, yes, after everything seems really bad, I think it was after Jack, after Dave's breakdown, after the road explodes, Benson reintroduces the scavenger hunt, and it's like an incredibly rare moment of every single character in the entire game is on the same page about something. We're all thinking about the scavenger hunt again, because like we're never on the same page about anything. We never have a group meeting where we all say, this is what's up, well, even that's what should be happening every time crises happen. And then that proceeded to never be mentioned again outside of that scene. Like, to the point where I'm like, okay. Like, in the moment, I was like, this is kind of crowbarred into the story that we're suddenly bringing back up the scavenger hunt. But, like, on some level, it's like, okay, Benson wants to honor the wishes of his dead master, and you know, if the plot's going to go towards the scavenger hunt and that's going to become important to the plot, then sure, at least we're going to do it, right? But that scene was a reminder for no reason, because immediately no one's thinking about the scavenger hunt, not even Tyson, the person that was game for it. Like, fuck yeah, all right, whatever, if I'm getting paid. He also just never mentions it again. Like,
yeah.
And Benson's not like, come on, you guys, you were supposed to be going back to the scavenger hunt. He also forgot about it, and I'm like, just a very strange scene to write that like is like a like you do I'm grappling with this because it's like a series of like, there's a concept like called the setup and the payoff, and when the setup and the payoff are distant from each other enough, you then introduce the reminder in the middle. So like on a very utilitarian level, I can get the idea of what's happening essentially. Like I get but like this isn't how you do it. you don't just like look at the extent of the game you have, like it starts here and ends there, and then you just put a setup at the beginning and a payoff at the end and a reminder in the middle, devoid of context, like with no connective tissue, no momentum, no anything. It just doesn't like work on any real level. I'm just,
Yeah.
and this kind of feels like I'm bringing it up out of nowhere, but it's just because I was reminded of that event recently, and now I'm looking back on how, yeah, that was weird. That was just weird to reintroduce the scavenger hunt and then never talk about it ever again. Anyway, I'm gonna leave and rejoin chat because apparently my audio's fucked up. How am I sounding now, Toaster? How you doing? I'm a professional.
You sound like a robot talking in fast forward.
I sound like a robot talking in fast forward?
Yeah. Like, it's not just popping your voice. You are talking like this. It is talking like this. Hello. Like, that's what it sounds like to me.
Let's cut the recording and restart Discord or something. All right, and we're back. And I'm sorry if you can hear vacuuming noises in the background. This is just my life and my
I can
lived
hear
experience.
the vacuuming noises in the background. Normally, when Keith complains about being able to hear things in the background, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Your mic is so clean. There's no issue.
Well,
but,
also Discord and the recording are different audio.
Yes.
so even if you can't hear it, they might be able to hear it. Well, it's just apparently it's vacuuming day. Cool. I love housemates. As I climbed the stairs and stepped out into the foyer, Roswell was sitting on the stairs, seemingly waiting for something. Oh. Hey, Roswell. What are you doing?
Waiting for you.
Me? Why me?
The rat?
Ah, right. I put him somewhere safe. Don't worry.
Uh-huh.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. We're fine enough anyway.
Well, good. We looked at each other for a bit, me trying to figure out if Roswell was trying to figure something out, and maybe he was doing the same to me. The language repeating is getting to me a little bit.
Yeah.
I climbed the stairs and Roswell was on the stairs. I'm trying to figure out if Roswell's trying to figure something out. Like, so, you were waiting for me because of the rat?
Well, yeah. Did he bite you at all?
No, just Dean.
Did anything happen? You were gone a while.
I got distracted down in the basement. The vault and stuff. You know.
But does the rat bother you at all? Anything seem strange about it?
Listen, Roswell, it's day 19. You think I'm gonna stop keeping secrets from people now? Maybe. I haven't met a lot of rats before.
No rat is meant to be that heavy, Dave.
I don't think anything is meant to be any sort of mass. I think it just is.
It's
What's your deal,
yeah.
Roswell? Are you meant to be that dense, huh?
I get what he means, but that was a weird word choice, yeah. Maybe he just eats a lot?
Don't act dumb, Dave. The rat was way heavier than just an animal that had to just eat something, or had just eaten something.
Well, what do you think it means then? That he's that heavy?
Oh, well, that's something I was hoping to find out from you, really. I have a guess, but,
What's your guess?
well, that is not a rat, for starters.
But you saw him. He's a rat, isn't he?
He looks like a rat. Who's to say he's not a polymorph tanuki, or a glamoured fox, or even a unicorn?
Do Tanuki polymorph but keep their weight? Is that the lore?
I think so. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna say my opinion. I'm done. I'm done with criticizing the the universe where people don't know what food is, but then apparently this is a logical leap to make that Tanuki's polymorph and foxes have glamours. Orlando breathes fire. Oh, what am I criticizing? I don't know.
I don't know.
What this is a setting. This
He's
is the
also-
setting that we've
he's
been
also
in.
making
This is
a
a toaster problem.
He's also making a face that he's not serious.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but he's also Roswell.
Yes.
So
we've been gleefully devoid of Roswell for the middle 10 days of this story.
It's been such a blessing.
It's a blessing for us with Roswell, but narratively it is weird that like Haas and Roswell in particular just vanished for half of the game so far. Like they've showed up periodically to be like, "Hi, I'm still here," but they haven't gone anywhere with their character development, and they're just kind of floating, and there wasn't anything for them to do because no one's really doing anything. But also like, we were specifically gonna confront Roswell about the syringe. I didn't imagine that, right? This isn't like a papers in the statue situation where I'm just misremembering something for a long time. Didn't we think that Roswell was out here? We found syringes. We gotta confront Roswell about this. And I thought that was Dave's inner monologue, and he just doesn't do it. You've lost me.
The whole idea that what we see isn't exactly what's true, right? So what if he's not a rat at all, and is just choosing to look like one?
Beast Wars. You're making it sound like he has, like, the ability to choose things and think.
And who's to say he can't? Fact is, that rat is suspicious, to me anyway.
Also, rats can think? So, what did you want me to do about it? Be careful?
Well, obviously, but...
That was a weird line read. Even I know that. I recognize it immediately. It's fine.
It is the obviously but. There it is. I watched as he looked over to the way towards the basement, thinking things over. Look, strange. That was a strange text read existence.
I might go have a look and see what I can find out. It's a new thing to come up since everything started happening.
You haven't
It's a new thing
investigated...
to come up since everything started happening.
Yeah, this section's starting to read like stuff that was written on the fly and not revised. Because they're wild sentences.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments of like, I understand what you're saying, but not how you said it.
I also want to point out that Roswell hasn't investigated any of the actual plot that has happened in the last 10 days. But he's going to
Remember when
investigate
we were looking
that
for
a rat
metals?
was heavy. Yeah, like he hasn't looked for metals. He's not like looking into anything about Jack or Memphis or...
Wasn't he looking into something in the library when we first started too?
Yeah,
wasn't he
he's
like, I'm investigating Greek magic or something?
I don't remember what he was doing,
like
but he was the character that was always introduced as being in the library early on, I think. So he's like, that like gestures at the idea of characterizing him as being the nerd that's going to research things and find out things about stuff, but he doesn't do anything. He doesn't.
Yeah,
it's why like when like in one of the background, like my head canon, even though I don't even like Roswell, like the rewrite that I imagine is I'm like what if Roswell went to the like after the road went out and the communications were cut, like Roswell like starts poring over these books in the library and starts trying to figure out how to like build a shortwave radio or something, and like trying to figure out some way to like reach out to the world and save them, and it doesn't pan out and he gets overwhelmed and he has like a breakdown over his inability to like save his friends, like just like some kind of thing to do that matches up with some of the stuff we've seen before, instead of standing around for 10 days and being like, That rat's suspicious, though. Like, after all this time, he's suspicious of the rat, and that's the thing he's gonna look into, and I'm begging these characters to be proactive. Oh, alright, good luck, I guess? He might still be in the basement where I let him go.
All right.
I like that it's like, I found someone's pet rat. I put him somewhere safe. And then you get the follow-up when he finally admits what he did. I released him in the basement. It's not how you treat someone's rat. Oh,
that's interesting. I forgot that we thought that the lie has been that it was a pet rat, because I keep forgetting that rats aren't actual. This is gonna sound weird. Rats aren't people in this universe. They're just animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I keep forgetting that detail because it's just very incongruent to me. It's just like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Rats don't have rights in this universe.
Maybe there's a rat person in this universe, but Thanatos is meant to be a little rat.
Yeah.
Which is a little hard to accept because
a second class rat.
Well, it's like he's not, because he's a rat that's not supposed to be speaking. Which is easy to forget because he used to be shown in CGs where he was obviously a little rat, but now he's shown via a TV sprite where he just looks like an anthro rat at this point. So he just looks like a rat character. So you forget that he's like a tiny rat that people are grabbing and stuff like that. So yeah, they see a tiny rat with a collar and they think, oh, that must be a pet rat. Someone's pet rat. And I guess so it must be Oz's pet rat that got out and now it's like looking for food because he's not feeding it because he's dead. But they then proceed to not, like, find a cage or anywhere to keep the rat. And then Dave, after implying he did something like that, then just admits he just let him go in the basement, which is not what you do to someone's pet rat.
Yeah.
Oh, but, before you go, have you seen Dean?
Dean, why did you want to talk to Dean?
Why are you acting suspicious? We're on a trip together. Just, there's something I need to talk to him about. Thanks, Dave. You elaborated so much.
Something good? Something bad?
I don't know, man. What about something none of your fucking business? Shut the fuck up and tell me where Dean is.
Just a talk. Probably going to be bad given how I am with talking in words, seeing how this is going.
Okay.
Roswell nodded slowly, scratching his chin. Roswell, fuck off.
So it's a serious conversation. About what?
Oh, just where the two of us stand, if we're dating or whatever, especially now, given everything going on.
Ah, well, good luck. That's not going to be an easy conversation to have.
Yeah, no shit, idiot. So get out of my way so I can go talk to him. Where the fuck is he?
That was such a weird combination of Dave lying and telling the truth. Where it's like, I'll just admit that it's about dating. But also, I'm going to lie and imply that it's because of what's going on right now, like in the plot, and not because I want to date Sal. Which is unrelated to the stakes. No kidding.
I think I saw Dean heading outside. To the backyard? I don't know where he would have gone from there, but that's the last I saw of him.
What happened to the buddy system? Alright, thanks. Let me know how your investigation into the rat goes.
Oh, don't worry, I will. Oh, assuming I can find him, wish me luck.
Hopping up off the stairs, he wandered towards the basement and disappeared out of sight, heading down the steps. Once he was gone, I wandered over to the backyard in search of Dean. Dean? I'd made my way quickly over to the greenhouse, closing the door behind me and breathing out as my heart rate leveled out again. Dean? Are you in here? Dave? Pleasant surprise seeing you here. Yeah, I just came to see what you were doing. Just tending to a couple of things. Was actually gonna try whittling something before you, given it's been a while. No one gives a fuck. Ah! I don't know how you escalate. I don't know how you escalate past the level of not giving a fuck about the stakes of what's happening right now more than like watching the Lord of the Rings extended edition trilogy, but whittling is there.
The thing that's confusing to me is the second sentence. Was going to try whittling something for you, or the second part of the sentence. Given it's been a while.
Yeah.
What? Wait, has it been a while since you've tried to give us something? Yeah. Has it been a while since you tried whittling?
We just wrapped up no whittling Wovember, and now it's time to whittle for Dave again. Fuck.
This is incredible.
There's just no. You cannot express the stakes being lower than telling me a character is going to whittle. Like,
yeah.
You're telling, like, that's him sitting on the porch of his frontier home in a rocking chair, whittling for all the little long day. Like, nothing's happening in his life. That's what that means.
Yeah. I don't understand this character. I just don't get it.
Whittle.
I don't understand. My brain hurts a lot.
I've considered writing characters like this, but like the payoff would be that they start glitching out. Like there was supposed to be something wrong with them. You were what?
I like that his response to this question of like, what are you fucking talking about, is, whittling, that thing we do. Oh my god.
Whittle? Wood carve. Oh, neat.
Would
you like
He's got
to
some
talk
wood
about
for us.
hardwood?
That's what he's telling us. Yeah, exactly. He's telling us he's got some wood for us.
You see, I've just got this big chunk of wood, and I need to make it small again. He looked me over instead. It was a long no whittle Wovember. He looked me over instead, going over into whatever it was that he was about to say, and sat down on some potting soil. Why do people keep doing that? I know it's upsetting to me. There's a walkway. Something's on your mind? Why did you get whittling wood from the greenhouse? Why would it be in the green? A little or a lot? Yeah, it's stuff. You want to talk about it? No, I just came here calling for your name as a prank. I'm leaving now. Bye.
Hey, don't hold it against. Don't act like that's not something Dave would do. That is 100% Dave core.
Yeah, and Benson core and most characters. I never fully recovered from, let's go find that rat, then we'll find the answers we need. Fuck, I hate this rat, we're leaving. I didn't even ask him a question. Bye. Yeah, I both want and need to talk about it. Stuff's just... I sat down awkwardly next to Dean and started messing with my hands. Not sure how to talk. Not sure how to start. Stuff is just... what? Complicated? I think I'm gonna need more to go off than just that, Dave. What's wrong? I don't know how to say it, Dean. It's hard. That bad?
Hard.
It's not about it being good or bad, just, I don't know. Well, if it makes it easier, I have something in the works you just might like. What's that? Just a little private time for the both of us. Whittling. Thought it, thought it about time we did something nice. What do you mean? A date? Well, more like dinner, but given everything that's been happening of late, figured it might be something to cheer you up. Going home might have worked, but this'll be a nice substitute. The moment he said it, my heart sank. I felt guilty, a little ashamed, and nauseous all at once. From the corner of my eye, I could see Dean's eyes shoot open in concern, but he stayed quiet. Great. That doesn't look like the face of someone who's glad to hear that. Did I do something wrong? No, it's just... I mean, yes.
You presumed an entire relationship that didn't exist.
Based on us not interacting for the last 20 days, at the very least. Like, why did you think we're having a date on day 19? What escalation did you feel was happening in the background from our non-conversations? At this point, I want to rewrite Dean as being like this like parasocial character. Like, what's that fucking Aubrey Plaza movie? I don't know
Ingrid
why.
Goes West.
I don't know why I keep referring to a movie I've never seen. It's because Stephanie won't stop bringing it up. That's why.
Have you not seen Ingrid Goes West? Ingrid Goes
No.
West is so good.
Cool. When are we watching
Fucking
it?
Make time for it.
Make time for me watching it with you. See?
Okay,
Boom. Go to a reverse
try.
card.
Oh my god.
This is my response every time someone's like, "You haven't seen movie?" I'm like, cool. When are we watching it? Why is it just me homework every time?
I don't, because I don't want to rewatch movies. I have new movies to watch.
Well, so me too.
Oh my god.
And what's
Chat,
wrong?
this is what I put up with.
I'm right.
Okay. I'm back to having no opinions. It's no opinion Wednesday for Toaster. I'm going back into my happy place.
The funny thing is, I plan on watching that movie specifically because it might help me with a video essay script where I'm trying to patch things in. I'm like, that might slot in with that premise that I'm working on. One of the 50 ones that'll never actually get made. Great, I'm good at this. Then what's wrong? What happened? Dean, I don't think going on a date is a good idea anymore. Well, shucks, I guess the timing was just that poor, huh? Dean, there's a
It's
murderer.
not the timing.
So yes. Not just tonight, I mean, at all. What? His voice trailed off, and he leaned back away from me. I don't think we should go on a date. Did I say something wrong? It's not that. Did something happen? Not really, just that's the point, honestly. Nothing has happened at all. We are not a thing as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it's not anything that you said, Dean. In fact, it's the fact that you've never said anything to me. You do not talk to me. I do not know you. Who are you? Go away.
Just everything going on with seeing people dying and those people in the woods and bringing up Dave, no. You can't bring up your dad trauma and the things that are going on as if that's what's wrong with you dating Dean. You are cheating, you're deflecting, you're lying about what's happening. This is not related concepts. You're literally potentially pursuing a relationship with Sal in that exact context. Oh, no. You're weaponizing your trauma for no reason when you could just be honest with Dean because there's no evidence that you can't be.
I think the thing about this that frustrates me is that Dave is not consistently characterized as like an emotional manipulator in this way. He's not someone who's like struggling with dealing with confronting problems and then like turning away from them. In fact, or turning away from them and like shielding himself with like lies that hurt people. It's specifically, he just runs from his problems. So this is really weird to me because
it comes across as super manipulative, but it doesn't feel like it's supposed to.
Yes, exactly. So it comes out of nowhere and it feels really blank and devoid of character. Like this doesn't read as like, oh, it's a character flaw of Dave's that he like uses this trauma as a crutch. especially because the first 10 days of this trip where he still wasn't talking to Dean, he wasn't using this trauma as a crutch, and none of this stuff happened. He just literally doesn't know Dean. Like, he just doesn't know him. You can tell me in the comments all you want that, like, Dean and him have actually been friends the whole time. This dude doesn't know Dean. This guy doesn't know him.
It both didn't
That's
happen
what the writing
on
told
camera.
us.
It both never happened on camera, and also hasn't really been like sold in any real way that they have any kind of existing relationship. You just have like 2 lines of exposition that are extremely vague to the point of being self-contradictory. Because, like, how can they be a thing if they've never dated and never had sex? And like what is the... we're not given anything else that they're doing. So, like, there's just no hint that they've actually spent reasonable time together besides just being friends from school or something.
Yeah. But, like, the thing here... what am I going to say?
It's like, it's implied they're in a relationship, but we're only given the negatives. We're only given what they aren't doing. And we're never actually told what they're doing or what the relationship is. So
the thing
just
about
implies
this,
they're not in one.
Yeah. The thing about this that is weird is, and what I'm going to say might sound strange, but to qualify it, I'm talking from the perspective of, like, a character relationships in a narrative sense. Like, there is nothing in this relationship that implies joint responsibility or quote unquote ownership between these characters. What I mean by that is, Sal comes to us and says, hey man, I can't fool around with you because you're my best friend's girl. And of course, in real life relationships, dating someone, fooling around with them, whatever, doesn't mean you own them. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of character narrative and story and, like, the complex socially nuanced web of navigating that, you generally know not to step on other people's turf, especially when it comes to, like, emotional turf, right? Like, that's just common human decency, even if we know in practice that, you know, these sorts of entanglements don't literally mean that you own someone, they belong to you. So what's really weird, though, is that in this narrative, characters have told us that we belong to Dean, that he has called dibs on us, that we're a thing. But then absolutely nothing in the narrative, from Dave, from Dean even, has implied that same setup of ownership. And that's weird. That's a weird thing, because it makes scenes like this not work, because Dave is like, oh no, oh no, it's gonna upset my not boyfriend that we're not together, the thing that we've never been. And it's like, yeah, you don't know this guy. There's no connection between you, no mutual responsibility, no accountability between either of you. Dave, you haven't fucking talked to him in 20 days. What are you talking about? You owe him literally nothing. Literally nothing.
It feels like this should have been, at the very least, a storyline that, like, develops if you kept choosing him. Because there's one very strange thing to look back on about the structure of the first 10 days, which is that back then we had 2 consistent choices. One was, who are you going to hang out with out of all of the characters? And then the other one was, who are you going to hang out between Dean and Tyson over and over again? Specifically Dean and Tyson, which that sets up the idea that, like, you're picking the route character out of all 6, and you're picking your love interest between Dean and Tyson. But we pick Tyson every single time, so we have no fucking clue what they're talking about with Dean stuff, and it makes him sound insane. Like, it starts to feel like you played Firewatch and then refused to respond to Delilah for the entire game, and she just gets increasingly unhinged sounding because she's, like, imagining a relationship that you don't have. Like, because which is the thing I did as not a challenge run, but, like, I did a weird run of Firewatch where I just ignored Delilah the entire playthrough and just listened to how she gets straight. It feels increasingly strange that, like, she's projecting a relationship onto someone that doesn't actually respond to her. But the game also did something strange, which is that felt like the structural implication of that choice. But us picking Tyson over and over again was then replaced by the fact that Dave starts remembering his father in the middle days, and then it's very reinforced several times now, and especially the last couple of days, they started getting really loud about it and final about it, basically, where they're like, no, Tyson's my brother, to the point where everyone around you literally says, your brother. Like, suddenly everyone is very clear on the idea that Tyson is your brother, is in concept, to the point where other characters address him as that, which is some level confusing because of how much of them didn't really know him before, but also like it's confusing structurally because you're like, I thought we were romancing Tyson. so that just didn't happen. But also then we're left with no idea what's going on with Dean, and he just sounds increasingly strange. It's odd.
Yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, I feel like Dave's just being tone deaf there. Like something's just wrong. Like, well, not Dave being tone deaf. I feel like the writing is being tone deaf by having Dave bring that up, because I don't think they want to characterize Dave as somebody that manipulates people with his dad trauma, when literally that has not come up. He hasn't even like mentioned or thought about his dad in days. Like that was dropped, and it's not, especially has not been coming up. It's come up with Sal in that they bond over that their lost family, but it never came up in the reason for the dating at all until that moment. So it doesn't flow.
I mean, you've mentioned it a few times, but it does also feel weird that we go 9 days without Dave's dad being a factor, or whatever. We go like 16 days without it being a factor, however long it took for that to actually start. The days all blur together. This game's a fever dream.
It was at least 8+ days, because I think day 8 was the complicated time travel day where we stopped multiple deaths, and then the whole mechanic went away for the last 10 days.
Yeah. And the other thing, I guess, with this is weird though, is that he goes that long without referencing it. Suddenly it becomes the main plot just instantly. It's not like a slow development. It's just like, now this is a problem. We are going to deal with it. The game then posits, hey, every single thing that has happened so far, Dave's weird behavior, Dave's sadness, Dave's inability to take actions, Dave's yada, 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 all of this is deeply and effectually tied to his issues with his dad. And then the second that we get like a little bit of elucidation about that might lead to further character development and like conflict resolution and insight into how this character thinks, his dad just stops being relevant. It's done. They're done with it.
It's weird too, because like, all things considered, this is weird to go back and think and say, but like, ultimately the dad storyline is the best executed storyline of the entire game so far, because like, it had a clear through line. We understood the intent of that part of the text, and it resonated with the character on some level. It was consistently reinforced and had a clear through line every day for like 5 days until it had its payoff and everything. Like, that's how the whole game should be written. At minimum, is like the dad storyline, because that was coherent and cohesive and had a momentum to it and paid off and escalated and everything. It just kind of starts and stops at some point, and it's just kind of in the soup of the overall game, and the game just kind of is always like that. It's like this weird thin stew of like little pieces floating around, like here's a carrot and here's some beef, and they're just in there, and like they're not really coming. It's like, it's very strange. It's because I don't totally love the dad storyline, but yeah, looking back, I'm like, that is the most sensical story so far that had like a clear character goal and emotional goal, and it had implications for the people involved, multiple characters even, which is rare because of how isolated they all tend to be. And it had its issues, like being confusing who this was even a revelation to, if anyone besides Haas. Like who's even learning this? Because like there was several things that were dropped about that, about like who knows that, who ever knew Dave's dad, who had a relationship with Dave's dad, who does and doesn't know he's dead. Like, all of that is fumbled horribly, but the storyline largely works in a way that like I'm begging more of the game to do. And by
Yeah.
contrast, like, this is an example of something that is not set up and reinforced throughout the game and does not feel sensical. So you're just talking to Dean, you're like, who is this guy? It's been 20 days. Seems you'd think he'd be one of the people that we're closest to in the world, and I can't even tell what our relationship is.
I don't like this.
But Dean, I don't know. So this past year, were we? It's been a year? I don't know. Were we? I don't know. I just thought. He slumped, staring off in a daze. Dean, you deserve better. You should not have been holding out so hard for this person that you've never done anything with or barely interacted with. It wasn't worth it. Like, I don't know how you pined so hard after this guy, but it was not. This was a choice. Dean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think. I don't know. I didn't mean for it to be this way. I guess I looked over to Dean, and his eyes were wild, staring at me. I thought I was going to be sick, or that he was going to say or do something to me, but it never came. All this time. Please don't hit me. I'm sorry.
What? What? This is such a fucking jump. Is this one of Dave's character attributes that we haven't been aware of the whole time? That he's afraid of being physically abused by Dean? What?
He's flinched a few times at people, I think, but it does feel a little bit too much like he's actually believing the idea that Dean would attack him, which isn't. Already I was flinching as I saw the vague motion of him rearing back. The next sound I heard was the dull thud of something hitting soft nearby. Don't. Just don't. Okay? I can't believe this. I can't. I won't. Dean, say it. He sounded reasonable until that exact moment.
Yeah.
Like just kind of like, oh, this is sad, but I weirdly crushed on someone that I barely interact, like we did not go on dates with and did not have any kind of clear relationship with, and now I'm having to confront the idea that this was kind of stupid and I wasted my time. And then he's just like punching stuff, and now he's like getting angry, like at the flip of a hat. Say what? Say it to my face that you're not interested anymore. But please, I need to hear it. Dean, I'd never seen him so angry. Or maybe it wasn't anger, but just hurt. I don't want to date you anymore. I'm not interested. He flinched, mouth agape, but stayed quiet. His hand went to his chest, and that's when his eyes pulled away from mine, groaning softly to himself. Dave? Yeah? Get out. Please. His breathing was ragged, and I reached out to him, but all that got me was his free hand batting mine away. Please. I got up, shakily, stumbling towards the door. As I reached it, I looked behind me to see where Dean still sat, deflated, with his face in his hands. It had been the first time I'd ever had to say that to someone, and it hurt. It made me feel sick. But somewhere deep down, I knew that I did what needed to be done, and I left. With a gentle click, I closed the door behind me. My feet felt heavy, and a throbbing in my chest made me clutch at the spot above my heart in an attempt to make it stop. I whined, stumbling over the stairs, and leaned onto the railing, unsure of what I should do or feel. Dean was hurt, bad, and that was my fault. That's what I thought anyway.
Dave, what's wrong?
A few things, but my chest is hurting bad.
Maybe you should sit down.
Maybe you should have a heart attack and just solve the problem for everyone.
Quick, inject him again. He guided me to the stairs and sat me down, putting a hand to my chest and watching how I reacted.
Your heart rate doesn't seem too elevated. What were you doing before, after breakfast?
This is the kind of bizarre conversation that has to happen because Dave didn't just open with, I broke up with Dean, which instantly explains everything. Like, instantly. And you're the one that asked me to do it, so it's not news. Like, I did the thing you asked me to do, and this is good for everyone, but that's why I look sick right now. Like, it instantly puts everyone on the same page, and there's no reason not to say it. But he's like, but now we've got like Sal being Dr. Sal and be like, I am closely scrutinizing you, and with my scrutiny powers, I'm like, your heart rate. And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? Oh, about that.
What's wrong?
You might want to sit down for this, Sal. What? No. Why?
Okay.
He sat down next to me, hand on my shoulder, and from his tone of voice, something told me that he knew what I was about to say next. I just got done speaking with Dean about, you know.
You. Just now.
Just the implication that Sal was gonna faint or something. Like, yeah, in the greenhouse. I figured that it was better done sooner rather than later, especially after you asked me to talk to him, right?
I thought it would be better to do it sooner rather than later, so I put it off for multiple days.
Definitely a while.
Right, yes. I did ask that, didn't I?
Was I not supposed to?
It's not that, just... Are you okay?
I feel terrible. My chest hurts. I feel so guilty from how he reacted. It's just... It feels so unfair.
He took it badly.
It doesn't seem unfair, idiot. You told someone that they were emotionally invested in you, a manipulative psychopath, and that was wrong of them. In fact, that was the most just and fair thing that you have ever done. Do not turn this on yourself, Dave. You are not allowed to claim that it is unfair that you hurt someone. Granted, this is someone that should not have ever fallen in love with you because you don't know each other. But you don't get to say it's unfair because you emotionally manipulated him in that moment. You stupid idiot. I would throttle Dave in real life. I would attack him.
I'm kind of on. I'm a little bit on the other side of things a little bit because from what we've seen in the game, Dave has not been leading Dean on at all.
Yes.
Mainly because the whole relationship hasn't been written, basically. So it's what the fuck's happening? But Dean being so clingy, being told to his face this isn't happening, and then reacting that badly is what feels that part is what feels manipulative to me. And that's the part where I'm like, on that level, like I get where Dave's coming from on some level, because I'm like, if anyone's unhappy with me, that's my day now. Like, that's all I'm thinking about, and I'm gonna have trouble sleeping tonight. Like, I react very poorly to making people unhappy or feeling guilty or something, even if I didn't even know what it is, and so on. So so here I'm like, this would fuck me up if someone reacted like this in this situation. But also, like, what the fuck is like? We don't know what Dean's reacting to. Like, it's so confusing because the relationship just doesn't exist in the game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm getting at here is that, like, Dave, this whole time, we're not leading Dean on. There is no relationship there. So Dave also should have just said this to Dean like 2 weeks ago when he was like, Dean keeps hitting on me, but I'm not a fan of it. That's fine, whatever. He delays it until just now. Sal tells him to talk to Dean about it. He takes a long ass time putzing around to talk to Dean about this when he could have just walked over to him and told him right then. That's fine, whatever. It takes a while to drill up the courage, right? Then in the moment telling him it, he just still doesn't tell the truth. And he's going like, well, my life is so hard and things are so hard and unfair for me, and there's a murderer and my dad is dead, Dean. My dad's dead. It's so hard. I don't think we should date. This is the reason why we shouldn't date.
I'm mad at both of them because I'm like,
yes.
like, I mean, like that situation, but also just like Dave and Sal, where I'm like it's not like all this fixed anything. Dean's still gonna be pissed if you guys date now. Like,
yes.
How else would this possibly go? But like, and I said this to Grizz because that like Sal seems extremely neurodivergent coded with the way that he's like very specific. Like he has to explain what relationships are out loud all the time. So I'm like, okay, it's potentially in character that he doesn't read the cue that like him getting like, you can't just get permission. Like you don't just like clear the relationship, get it, like just end it and like there, now it's over, and then date, and then it's good. Like speaking from personal experience, if you date somebody who was dating someone you knew recently, they don't take that very well.
Yeah,
because I have literally been the person who's made that mistake, thinking, I guess this is over, and then made and gone into that, and yeah, people don't like it when you do that.
Yeah. I think the thing here that is sticking out to me.
The problem for me is that Dave seems to also not register that, and I'm like, I thought, okay, that's Sal, but now I can't tell because Dave also just has a bizarre relationship with all these cues.
Yes, I think the thing there also that bothers me is just like Dean and Dave both are kind of like emotionally being upset about a situation that they, like, for lack of a better word, this is gonna sound really aggro, but like they just like don't really have a right to be upset about in the specific ways that they are upset about it. Where it's like Dean overreacts and he's like, and he's upset, and sure, people have emotional reactions in the moment. Like I'm actually not gonna hold that particular aspect against Dean, because even though it's a little bit cartoonish, it's just like, okay, the writer is communicating here that Dean's real broken up about something and he's not handling it well. That's fine. The thing about that is weird to me is that he is upset about it because he like wasted a whole year pining for this dude who we have been told has basically been leading him on, but we have never seen actually lead him on. And then Dave's response to that is like, it's not fair. It's not fair that this was the way things are. I wish nothing would ever change in my life. I wish I could just have left him on the hook and not had that conversation with him and then dated Sal, my hot big boyfriend. Like,
and you just sit there and like, and it's like, is this how you want to? Is this how you want to characterize Dave? Is that going for that?
Exactly.
Because that's
exactly what I'm saying.
Because you're making him Chase at that point. And that is a choice. Like, are you sure you want him to be Chase? Because I don't feel like you're writing him to be Chase. I don't think that's what you're going for.
You're not trying to chunt him, and it's weird. It's just really weird. It's a weird character thing to bring in. Once again,
but like
tapping onto that issue of like introducing things very suddenly, and suddenly that's the whole character. Where it was like Dave's old emotional arc was being sad about his dad. Now his new emotional arc is being very upset that he didn't get to have it both ways, which is like, okay, that's so presumptuous. These characters are assholes.
And I think I've said this before, but like I keep thinking back to the CG of Chase and Leo in the motel parking lot at the very beginning of Echo, and I'm like, that's the scene that's missing. Like they wrote, I don't think Dean is meant to be as fucked up and like worrying as Leo, but he is supposed to be the Leo. He is the sort of boyfriend, sort of ex-boyfriend, some kind of like the character you have not resolved the situation with in a dating sim where you're potentially pursuing several other characters that needs to be addressed, and you're putting that off. And the longer you put that off, the more your character becomes Chase, which is upsetting. And but like you do need to have the Leo conversation at some point at the beginning of the game where it's made clear that you're dealing with something. And it has to be like a real conversation too, with like this, where there's a very specific emphasis on who's being emotionally honest and who's being emotionally dishonest and who's deflecting and avoiding the problem and avoiding resolving this and where the blame lies and what this mess is. What, like, nothing's as clear cut, but there has to be something. You get a vibe like that. You get a vibe for that immediately, and a lot of Echo is you then proceeding to elaborate on that thing, and you learn more about that relationship in different routes, and it gets even more messy. But that groundwork is laid at the beginning, and with Dean it just wasn't. So it's just deeply confusing.
I think a good example of this is, like, even in the Leo route, and I guess this will be very minor spoilers for the Leo route. I'm not going to actually spoil the content of it, just kind of how it, the premise of it is, you know, you go into Echo, Leo is your ex. You get your choice of all the different routes, which I think on a surface level are presented as who your boyfriend is going to be for the route, even though that's not how it actually plays out. But even when you pick Leo's route, he is still the ex that maybe nothing is happening with. And the game contextualizes itself, no matter what you do, as this is a dying and or dead relationship. This is something that is not healthy and isn't good. So if you make decisions that are not conducive to that, the characters are aware of it, talk about it, and as a player, they feel like you are making a mistake. And it is a potent mistake that you immediately recognize and has thematic relevance because it's a mistake. Here, Dean is depicted as, like, he's your old flame, but nothing's happened yet. But when we decide to pursue Sal, it does not feel like we are betraying Dean. There's no betrayal there because they've explicitly set up that there's nothing going on.
The game just has to kind of nowhere start telling you it's a betrayal 20 days in. You're like, that's not... And, like, and I hate to... I don't mean to constantly compare things with each other and so on, but, like, it really does just work where it's like, it's worth looking at Echo and seeing how, like, Leo is a very good template for, like, how to, like, look at how these kinds of things should work. Because if you have a character that is like this, either a scorned ex or an unresolved ex or some kind of messed up, it's complicated character that in a dating relationship where you're trying to date with other people, like, Leo is a presence in every route of Echo as that role, no matter what you're doing. Even the route where he immediately can't have an impact anymore, Carl's route, because you literally leave reality a bit. Like, there still always is, like, the birthday party where a different variation of Carl's birthday party happens in every single route, where Leo is fucking things up and tone deaf and clearly prioritizing. And it's done in a way where they never explain it to the audience what's happening here, but you can pick up on what's happening, which is that Leo clearly is prioritizing impressing Chase and spending time with Chase and throwing events that will make Chase's like trip go as it should or whatever, but in a way where he's like stomping over or sort of like speed running their interactions with everybody else that isn't Chase, and like giving Carl shitty gifts that are tone deaf or even remind him of his mistakes and stuff like that, because he just doesn't care and isn't thinking about that. And like, or like the note that like, or like the fact that it's like, it's Carl, they're celebrating Carl's birthday, even though it's not Carl's birthday, and they do it without telling him or even establishing that he'll be awake or around, and he gives him gifts that upset him, and like everything about it is going very poorly because he just cares about Chase. And like that's in the route where Leo's barely there, and every other route he's worse. Like there's more going on because that's the character you're ignoring and not resolving things with. But they instead they just don't write Dean, and that just doesn't work. Like you can't. That doesn't. And then trying to bring it back up 20 days later, it's like that wasn't earned. There was no through line. You want to pay off emotions that weren't there throughout, and that seems to just be a struggle that this game has, is trying to figure out how to make those narratives work, because it's like when Haas had that confession, it's like, I know what this scene is. Yeah. I know what this confession scene is. I know what this breakup scene is. And in a vacuum, this scene could be the effective payoff of a storyline, but the rest of it wasn't there because they were talking about sandwiches. And it's like, you need to write those scenes. You need to write the rest of the story in between. You can't just write the payoff and then expect it to work because you said the ending part happened, and that means we fill in the narrative ourselves or something. It's brutal, but yeah, it's I can definitely see why they'd be talking about rewriting the Dean route, but I wonder how much that encompasses every other part of his character and everyone else's routes, because it doesn't work from what we've seen.
Yeah. I don't think these characters are particularly well developed, and it's day 20 or day 19 of a 30-day excursion.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this thing that should play as payoff doesn't feel like payoff.
Which is wild to me, in part because the game is incredibly verbose. Like,
yeah,
we did not get here quickly. This is not a fast-paced game where the characters are thinly written because the game's going too fast. Like, it took a long time to get this far. Like, by now, in Echo, I had finished 2 routes. This playthrough is longer than Ad Astra already, by like maybe 20 episodes now. Like, it might be. I think it might be already 50% longer than the entirety of Ad Astra, and I'm like, that. You had the time, and it just wasn't spent the way that it desperately needed to be spent. Anyway, whoops. Sorry, everybody. This is the Whoopsole commentary episode. We'll read more of the game next time.
Do you even want us to at this point? I think our commentary is the biggest draw for a lot of the people in the comments, going by what they say.
I think it's a learning experience for everyone that wants to think about narrative and so on, and I'm thinking about it all the time. And in all fairness, like, I published a story on the Null Playing Games Patreon yesterday, and like, I don't fucking know if anyone who read it got what I was going for, or if I successfully executed on my ideas, because it went to a Patreon of like 12 people, and the feedback usually doesn't exist. So and on some level, it can be hard to even be receptive or open for feedback, because you're like attached to this thing you put a lot of work into, and you don't necessarily want to immediately then hear that you did it all wrong and should start over. But it does lead to you put a bunch of work into something, and in your head you think you know what works and what doesn't work, or why, or what it's doing, but then you just kind of put it out there to mostly silence, and then you just are left to think like, well, do I keep writing? Do I write more stuff? Have I learned anything from the last thing? Because I don't know if it worked. And then you keep going. So I get this thing, and I empathize with that.
Yeah, fully.
But if we do keep Whoopsole criticizing, then the game will never end. We will never beat it. So we'll finish up this scene, and then next episode, so I'll try to reel it in a little bit. But it was worth breaking down just why nothing worked here. Like, just, this is not, Dean just doesn't work. And that's the thing that is the most known entity, I guess, because the one thing we knew going in was they're rewriting Dean. That was like the one warning we had. Like, this game's quote unquote done, but the rewriting Dean was basically what we were told at the time. And that just basically communicated to us, this is a finished video game, but don't play Dean's route. Which, once we started playing the game, we're like, I don't want to play Dean's route anyway, so easy. All right, Sal.
He took it badly.
Yeah. I could feel Sal tense up next to me, and one look at it face told me that's a mean thing to call your boyfriend. He was conflicted. While he was normally quiet, I felt this time was because he was at a loss for words. Sal, how are you feeling right now?
I'm doing okay.
Really? Are you sure?
May I be honest?
No, lie to me. Yeah, of course.
I don't want this to come across as picking sides, but...
It's okay. I know. Dean's your best friend. They could probably use you more than I could right about now. If you go to Dean's side to comfort him over Dave breaking up with you, and then date Dave 2 days later, he's going to murder you.
To be like, Dave,
he's going to murder you.
You need to break up with my best friend Dean, because it's wrong of me to date his girl. I can't believe you were so mean and unfair to Dean that you broke up with him. How dare you?
I don't think that's what he's going
I'm gonna
for.
explode. I'm gonna become a being of pure incandescent light and just fade into the energy dimension.
I don't think he's going for guilting Dave. I just think he's going for I value comforting Dean in this situation more than you, so I'm gonna go.
But it comes
Which
off
is
as
also,
so duplicitous.
Yeah,
It
well,
is
it's also
so
just
true.
it's a rough thing to say to somebody. It's also just in part the part where you say, "I'm picking sides." I don't mean to like implying that, like bringing that up at all. You're like, It's okay. I know. Dean's your best friend, according to you. I keep hearing about this, and he could probably use you more than I could right about now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he didn't take it well.
All right, but when I'm done, I'll be right back to check in on you. This conversation isn't over.
Is that a threat?
Both of you just sit still and I'll keep walking back and forth, refilling your bars. I sent him off with a smile, but the moment he left out the back, I broke down and started to cry. Not hard, or all that much, but enough that I felt the dampness in my cheeks and rushed upstairs to isolate before anyone else came by. I huddled on the bed in the dark, unsure of how to process what I was feeling. The less people I knew, the better. That knew, the better, or at least that's what I assumed. In reality, I knew I was just delaying the inevitable. No doubt the others would find out anyway. He seems to think this a lot about everything. The less people that knew, the better. Not only is it how he treats every event of the story, but it's how he treated his father's death, which you would think would be extremely public knowledge, given it's the death of a police officer and a member of the community, and like surely every like family, friend, and so on finds out your dad's dead. But now he's like, I'm gonna on this friend trip, I'm gonna hide the fact that I broke up with Dean. Like, that's gonna.
It does. It like doesn't benefit anyone to hide that. It's not gonna make their lives easier.
It's just confused. It's actually very frustrating as a friend to interact with a friend group and then just like step on mines constantly because people just don't tell you basic things about what's happening in the friend group that will upset people when they get brought up. So they should be brought up beforehand. But I wondered if someone was going to come by and check in on me anyway. Someone had to have noticed that I was missing the longer it went, with Dean being upset. No, you guys always split up, despite the buddy system that you forgot. Hours ticked by, and no one, not one came, and I felt cold just waiting. As I went to get under the covers, I heard the light knocking at my door. The light knocking, not the light knocking.
Sorry, should I come back?
Normally sleeping in my underwear made me not realize at first at what level of... Normally sleeping in my underwear made me not realize at first at what level of undress Sal was seeing me in. But quickly I fumbled for my pants, half falling over in the process of putting them on. What the fuck is that sentence? I don't... Normally. The normally really throws me off. Like...
Normally sleeping in my underwear made me not realize at first what level of undress. I think what he's saying is, normally I sleep in my underwear, so it didn't occur to me that it was weird when Sal came in because I wasn't thinking about how I was undressed. When I realized that I was only in my underwear, I quickly fumbled for my pants, half falling over them in the process of putting them on. Like, normally sleeping in my underwear is one clause.
Yeah.
Normally sleeping in my underwear, comma, made me realize, ignore at first, at what level of undress Sal was seeing me in. That's what I think it's saying.
There we go. Just a screenshot of that. DM'd it to Grizz with the text, I'm having a rough time with this one. and he'll get it. He'll read that and be like, hang on. I believe in him. That's just quite a sentence. Or just like, what the fuck am I reading? I can't tell what I'm looking at. I'm sorry, I'm clicking in out of the window too much. Everything's freaking out. Gah. Okay. Alright, Sal.
I should not have entered without waiting. Sorry.
No, it's fine. What's up?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great. Super great. Just the best, really.
Dave, you've been crying. It's all right to not be okay.
If we're gonna rehash the "it's okay to not be okay," you can cry if you want to in front of me conversation for the 5th time in this story, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah. With my pants now on, I sat down on the side of the bed, and Sal follows suit. How's Dean? He really was just
How
laying
honest.
there. He really was just laying there nude on his bed. I hope somebody comes in to check on me. Oh no, my pants aren't on. Let me performally put them on the moment someone shows up.
How honest did you want me to be?
Honest.
He's a mess. An emotional bear-sized mess. It's really quite ridiculous, but I do like how passionate he is with his emotions.
Not what you should be saying right now, Sal.
So anyway, we're dating now.
It's a
Bye.
really good aesthetic for him. It looks great on him.
It's okay to not be okay, but also Dean looking emotional is ridiculous. Oh,
He'll be fine.
you think so?
I promise. He might kick up a fuss, but he's just a real soft person, like you.
How does that translate to being okay?
You're okay, aren't you?
I wasn't sure if he was catching me in my lie or trying to make me feel better. The longer I didn't respond, the more that stare of his wavered.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think I might be a little soft too on the inside.
What?
It reads funny. It reads in a really unkind way than what it means to read as. Because yeah, that's not good. That's funny.
Have you ever eaten a snowball? That's not a bad, is it? What? To be at least a little bit soft on the inside?
When I was talking to Dean, I wondered why I wasn't as upset as he was. Why I just couldn't. What's the word here?
Why would you be
Empathize?
as upset as he is? You weren't broken up with.
You were the one that wanted him to get broken up with.
Yeah. I don't think Sal understands food or emotions. It's like that. I wondered why I wasn't as upset as he. Why would you ever be as upset as he is? That's bizarre. It's not happening to you. You can feel bad for people, but that doesn't mean you're gonna like catch up with them emotionally, like, and feel it the same way. I don't know.
I don't know if there's even a word, just this feeling. I wanted to help. I wanted to empathize. I wanted to be there for my friend, but I just couldn't. As if I was closed off inside about it.
Were you closed off, or are you just happy that he got broken up with, dude?
Oh, well, I know that feeling.
I know you do. I know you do very well, Dave. Do you remember how I mentioned that it was nice having someone that understood the kind of loss we've both experienced? It's similar to that.
Death, you mean?
Right, death. Dean comes close, but it's not the same.
Maybe if I killed him. How does it come close?
It's not really my place to say, but someone really close to Dean once attempted suicide.
They're dropping this now too.
Was his name Dave?
God.
Like, what the what? Wait, what?
Sorry, maybe that was a little too much for me to say, but it's not the same as actively losing someone.
All right, dude.
People can get better. You can recover to whatever extent is possible, but once someone is dead, it sends waves through everyone around them.
Like when Dad died.
But you recovered. Maybe not entirely, but enough.
Are we just? Is that what we're
What?
saying now? That
Is
Dave
that
is
what we're
fully
going for?
recovered?
You were able to talk about it. You have Tyson, you have us. It's progress.
You have yet to talk about it, Dave. What?
Yeah, he didn't talk about it. Other people talked about it for him, basically. But also, like, just the conversation's kind of hard to follow because Sal was using attempted suicide as an example of a thing that, because no one died, everyone involved can recover from it. But death, that leaves that sends a shockwave through everyone. But then he says, "But you recovered from the death." The thing I was saying as the other example that isn't the thing everyone just recovers from. So it's just like Sal's point is extremely muddled already. And you recovered, right?
Not entirely, but yes, I sought help because I couldn't recover alone. There's no shame in admitting that you can't fix what's wrong with yourself sometimes.
Yes, like correct. That's a good. It's a reasonable message to include. But it's also like Dave's like, you recovered, right? Dave, he was Saren choking you over the pool. Like when you go to the dentist, Dave, you're an adult.
Something like that. There's no shame in admitting when you're not capable of fixing a problem.
Is helping Dean one of those things?
I'd say so. He'll be fine eventually. Neither you or I are the person he needs right now.
Why does he need... Who does he need then? Orlando? Haas?
I'd say Tyson is the closest match, but with...
What?
What?
Why Tyson?
Because Dave is emotionally unstable, so he knows what he's going through.
Yeah, like...
Or because Dave and Tyson aren't going to be a thing, so they both have to mourn that relationship. I don't know. I don't know what this game's doing.
I can't tell if Tyson wants to be in a relationship with Dave. But also, like, Tyson, like... It felt more like structurally the game just, like, it felt intuitive that Dave and Tyson would be potential love interests, but then it just kind of wasn't going in that direction. But, like... I think we established out of nowhere recently that Tyson and Haas are getting along or something.
Yes, it was introduced in one scene and then came back later where Tyson's like, we're friends now, basically. And it's like
Tyson and Dean, I don't think has been a thing at all. Because Dean was one of the people that was like, I didn't know what to make of you because I heard about you or something when we came here. So they never met. And Tyson is not very emotionally available to counsel. He's not a person that counsels people. That's not. I don't know how he landed there. Where does that leave us then? How did you leave Dean?
I was a little harsh, admittedly, but he got angry and wanted to throw some punches. I told him to take it out on a potting soil or chop down a tree.
What? He didn't hit you, did he?
Why are you so worried about Dean hitting him?
Why is this is a new thread where Dean, the big goofy bear that has never been violent,
has only ever been punched himself.
Yeah, he gets hit, but has never actually done violence. We keep getting this, we're really worried about how violent he's gonna get, which is Like,
I vaguely
an upsetting
remember
thing to
people
learn about
being-
anybody, basically.
I guess people were worried about him way back when Orlando died. Remember when that happened on like day 2?
Yeah, it was. It's hard to remember the timeline where we used to think this game was going to be full of deaths and passwords. Orlando got killed by a dropped gun. That's how, like, wacky and Final Destination this seemed like it was going to be. And then that just hasn't been happening.
I'm sure he would have liked to, but he didn't. If he did, he would have felt awful about it after the fact and apologized, so that's something.
Friends shouldn't hit friends.
I'm going to choose to ignore the unique dynamic you and Tyson have when you say that.
Tyson doesn't hit Dave. Tyson was a bully several years ago, probably 2 schools ago? Like, when they were completely different people and children. Which is like, it's one thing to have, you can have grudges about that on some level, but they should be worked through and resolved eventually, like as far as like Roswell goes. But like, acting like Dave is a battered housewife when Tyson A doesn't hit him, and they're also not dating, and well, I guess he said friends, doesn't hit friends anyway. But like they're not violent with each other. That's not a thing that's been established. Right? No, not right, Dave. That's a weird response.
Is there anything I can do to help you, though? Did you want to talk about what happened?
I guess it's just guilt, maybe? He reacted so,
The word you're looking for is visceral.
No, that is actually not the right word to describe that. That is absolutely actually not the correct word. That does not mean what they think it means.
Sure, he was that. It was a little scary, but also I felt bad that I was the reason.
For starters, you're not the reason. You might not have helped, but you're not the reason.
Rude?
What?
How is he not
No,
the-
I mean it. These issues are rooted deep in Dean's core. You being in the place you were in your life, and Dean in his just wasn't compatible.
Dean and his ... just wasn't compatible. That's what
right,
he's trying to
because it's supposed to
say.
be his place in life, right?
Yeah.
We were doomed from the start?
I'd describe it more as an uphill battle. If this discussion between you two happened earlier, it might not have been too bad. Later, and, well...
It could have been worse.
I'd like to stress that, though. It was only a possibility. Feel having the conversation is better than not having it, however.
I guess you're right. Sure does suck in the short term, though, huh?
Yeah, I imagine so.
You sure he's going to be okay?
If you ask me again, I'm just going to tell you to ask him yourself, Dave.
No, do not go back to Dean today. Right. Sorry. I
can think of a really
I s-
good way for Dave to solve the problems that everyone is having in this story. And it involves Dean killing him in the greenhouse. I feel like a lot of things in this friendship circle would be worked out if he did that.
It's time for the axe ending.
The good ending.
Yeah.
The true ending.
I sighed, scratching my neck. It kind of sucked, though.
So you've said.
Not about that, just you going to make sure he's okay. Like, I understand why it happened, but I've just been up here by myself waiting. No one came looking. No one stopped by. I felt isolated, abandoned maybe, because I didn't tell anyone and isolated myself. Why didn't you just go talk? You could have just gone and talked to Tyson. You could have talked to anyone in your life about the thing you're going through, and you could have been comforted by any number of people, but you explicitly hid yourself because you didn't want anyone to notice, and now you're complaining and you're putting it on Sal that he didn't personally comfort you exclusively and not the other person that he's torn with here. You do this to myself.
I don't know.
Didn't know. How could you? You left me when I said Dean needed you more. Did Dave say that Dean needed you more? And I still think that's true, but I just wish I had someone.
Dave, you could have sought help elsewhere. If you don't ask for help, how will people know anything's wrong?
I just assumed that someone would notice me missing or ask how I was when Dean was discovered. When Dean was discovered? Isn't he in the greenhouse? You're both isolated.
You do know it was just him and me out there, yes? No one else came by to even question what had transpired.
Oh.
Sorry, coughing.
Toaster's dying. It's over.
I don't mean to make you feel less important, but not everything revolves around you. Sometimes when you want help, you have to ask for it.
Actually, everything does apparently revolve around Dave because that's what this story has written.
It is a plot about the world revolving around Dave, but also like, yes, Dave, just fucking actually talk to somebody. Jesus. Like, you can't. I mean, one thing if he just didn't resolve his problems, and that was it. That was like subtext, but he's explicitly just complaining about the direct consequences of his own actions with zero self-awareness, and it's just really rough. Is it too late to ask for it now?
Of course not.
He put an arm around my shoulder and brought me in close, hugging me from the side.
Was there anything you wanted to do to cheer yourself up?
I don't really have any ideas.
Would you like to have something sweet and do an activity? Do you want your crayons, Dave? You want to do a coloring book?
I'm struggling with how Dave's written like a 5-year-old in this scene. I
don't like that.
Like they're explaining relationship
weird.
dynamics like it's a children's television show, like not like a family show, but like a children's show. Like, put this on for your kids and leave the room or you'll suffer type of show. Like he's written so strangely young, and then the character that struggles socially is explaining social dynamics to him from scratch. And Dave is asking questions like this is new to him half the time. Like he's actually learning a lesson, but like not in like the way that you learn lessons in life normally by making mistakes and then absorbing that experience, but like just explaining it in very like kindergarten terms. And it just feels like he's never considered these concepts before, as opposed to the way that real humans work, which is that they accidentally recreate scenarios that they on paper know better than to do usually. Like you don't act. It wouldn't be a foreign concept, but these things feel like foreign concepts to him. So he's like a dentist, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How do you write the line like a dentist? Like he doesn't understand the idea that people can seek outside help ever when he's an adult now. What sort of activity did you have in mind?
We could play a board game or watch some television. We could quietly read or do some coloring too.
He literally wants to give him a coloring book. He's a 5-year-old.
I'm losing it.
Sal is describing things that he does with his 5-year-old sister. So,
exactly.
I mean,
like,
that's his one character
if
trait.
If this was just Sal, I'd be like, I get it, because you've spent way too much time primarily socializing with your significantly younger sister, and so it could be like a quirk of his character that he keeps defaulting to very young child activities. But then Dave is not contrasting that at all. He just actually is also written like a 5-year-old in the scene. So now it's just, it's surreal. Like at this point, I'm losing my mind. Let's start with a snack, then go from there.
Davey needs snack time. He's
Davey
hungry.
needs snack time.
He's hungry, and then he's gonna take a nap.
This is the longest episode we've ever made. I'm sorry. See you next time.